The latest album from the band Pierce the Veil, The Jaws of Life, is finally here. So, let's talk about it. Good afternoon and welcome back. Hope you guys have all been doing well out there. If you're new here, hi, I'm Miles. I do music stuff. And one of the things that I like to do on this channel is some reviews of work that's come out from artists that I really enjoy. And today we're going to be talking about the band Pierce the Veil and their fifth studio album, The Jaws of Life. Now, some of you out there may have saw that prior to this video, I had another video just expressing some concern about this upcoming album from Pierce the Veil. Based on the singles that had been released at the time, I was a bit worried about what the overall presentation of the album was going to end up sounding like. Which admittedly isn't a great attitude to have, because as a fan of any artist, you really shouldn't want them to continue making the same thing that they've already made before for your consumption. And I don't think it was necessarily that I really just wanted another Collide with the Sky or Misadventures or something like that. I think I was just worried that it was going to be leading in a direction that was really trying to force a vibe musically that the band doesn't really do. And it wasn't going to sound sincere. However, after hearing the entire album, I was pleasantly surprised, and I found that a lot of the things that I was bothered by initially with the original 3 singles that were released, they've grown on me, and I don't have those same issues anymore. But let's dive a little bit deeper. This track serves to be a great opener for the record because it has a lot of attributes that make Pierce the Veil who they are, and it has familiarity from other songs in their catalog without being derivative of those songs. Like how they incorporate the Latin-inspired instrumentation in the intro. Like that's the kind of stuff that really drew me to the group in the first place when I first discovered them. I also really like that little key synth thing that's going on in the verse. The thing that's in there. It's a unique touch, and I like the fact that it's not like this overwhelming addition to what's going on in the verse section of the song. It manages to be present while still maintaining the dynamic structure of the verse and how it's being presented in this song. And while the chorus on this song is very reminiscent, in my opinion, to, say, a song like 100 Sleepless Nights off of Collide with the Sky, I think that's a similarity that just comes with being the artist of both those songs. Like, you're going to have a writing style, and this just offers familiarity to the listener as far as what they're used to from hearing from this artist. So, it's cool in my book. When Past Nirvana was released as the first single for the upcoming album, I got really excited. This song also stood out to me because it seems that melodically Victor's vocal delivery he's doing something different than what I've come to expect from him.
Sink until you're right in bed, slow motion like a rolling eye.
Utilizing a lot more of these sort of chromatic lines of notes when he's singing.
The good times roll. Kick your eyes open like a punk rock show.
And this isn't a bad thing. I think it offers a unique characteristic for this song. However, it does run the risk of being something that can be overused very easily. And we'll talk about that soon. But then when we get to the chorus of the song, Vic is screaming his head off, and it's wonderful. I don't know what else to say about it.
Cause every single fucking day I try to roll my eyes and hide. One head. Now I'm off this shit.
The production on this particular song overall, to me, serves as an example of what I like to refer to as the Billie Eilish effect. I remember watching an interview with Billy and Phineas when they were talking about the production on When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go? And recording sort of like unmusical sounds, like atmospheric stuff to add to the songs. And they have one excerpt where they were talking about recording the sound of a crosswalk signal and then panning it across in one of the songs on the record. I forget which one now. I think it's Bury Your Friend. But there's a lot of that sort of thing going on with this track in particular, a lot of auxiliary vocal things going on in the background, some extra sounds, including that baseball bat crack that's in there at the beginning of the second verse. And I think it's cool. I just find it to be sort of a unique ripple effect when I hear the same sort of approach being done by artists like Bella Porch, or in this case, Pierce the Veil. Nonetheless, love the track. This was the song that when it was released as the third single off the upcoming album, I was concerned. It showcases a lot of really annoying musical tropes that are like really popular in music right now, like the melody in the verse and how Vic is phrasing everything kind of like as a question initially, and then coming back down at the tail end, and it's following that same melodic phrasing for every single line until we get to the chorus. And initially, the guitars behind the vocals I found to be a bit one-dimensional. I saw one person leave a comment under the video or on their social media accounts saying that they're suffering from the MGK effect. But I think this is something that's been around for much longer than MGK and whatever that dude's doing. Like, well, I don't know. Did you hear about the Megan Fox thing? I think it's a joke. I think it's a trick, and it's a ploy to stir up some whatever. Anyway. To be completely honest, the first time I sat down to listen to the song consciously, it reminded me of the first time I sat down and tried to listen to the band Sun. And to their credit, they make some great collaborations with Earthquaker Devices as far as their fuzz pedals are concerned. And while the music is arguably not bad, I think for me personally, I'm just never going to be high enough to truly appreciate it for what it is. However, with all that said, the song has grown on me. There's a gradual introduction of additional vocal lines and then some other dynamic changes, which I appreciate. It's those small details that allow the song to remain interesting throughout its runtime. And structurally, from a music theory standpoint, there's a sort of tension that gets built when you just have the same looping guitar line that's really kind of rooted over C and then F, over and over and over again. Until we get to the last chorus of the song where the band introduces now a new part of the guitar line that can be interpreted as a D minor chord change amongst the C and F changes that have been going on for this entire time. This song to me gives a bit of a 90s light grunge vibe, something like a Smashing Pumpkins 1979. However, in my opinion, I feel like the chorus of this song is weak. Because while on its own, the line, "I just want you to be my emergency contact," comes off as very sweet, and it implies that the person that this statement is being said to holds such a high significance to you that if there was something that was to go wrong, you'd want them to be the first one to be notified about it. However, on the tail end of what seems to be a bit of a run-on sentence of a chorus, it seems like this statement is just being made as a good way to rhyme with the word back. Although thanks to this song, I have a new audio clip that I can share with my wife whenever I ask her if she's hungry and wants me to order food. Says yes, and then I ask her where to order food from, and then she leaves me hanging forever.
Oh my god, I'm starving!
And I get that the overall setup is supposed to be like you looking over at this person and just wanting them to be your everything, the person that's always going to be there and have your back. And beyond that, it describes this person and the things that make them so special to you in the first place. It makes me think of that one scene in the movie Almost Famous where Penny Lane overdoses and then William calls paramedics to the room and they stuff a tube down her throat and she's gagging and throwing up and everything. And meanwhile, while this is all going on, romantic music is playing in the background and William's just looking at her like, wow. But other than that, as far as the song as a whole, I can't say that the song is bad. I think that there's a lot of lyrical ideas there that offer some reassurance and positive reinforcement to the listener. And, yeah, it's fine. This song, when I first heard it, I found it to be reminiscent of songs from bands like the Toadies, or even songs like Falling from Julie Cruz or Slide by Luna. And I think most of that stems from the fact that the chord progression is going from an E major 7 essentially, and then going down to C, and then B7, which interestingly are all intervallic steps within the E natural minor scale. However, E major 7 is not a minor chord. I think in this case, E major is being borrowed from the parallel major scale, so it gives a different characteristic to it. And this isn't the first song to do this sort of thing. If you go and listen to something like I Saw Her Standing There from the Beatles, that song does the same thing. which when we get to the chorus and it opens up on an A minor chord, from a songwriting standpoint, this offers a bit of a flair for the dramatic, if you will. It offers a bit of a weird tension and unsettled feeling by starting the chorus off on a minor chord, but then we have a release of that tension when we go back to E. And then the second time through those chorus chords, we now have the introduction of C and D along with A minor and E. And this brings up something similar to what most refer to as a Super Mario cadence. But that's for another video. Anyways, along with the Soundgarden-esque chorus effect on the guitars and the outro chord progression, I have to say overall this song is really growing on me as one of my favorites from the record. I also appreciate that Vic during the first verse is utilizing the lower register of his voice. It doesn't happen often, but it's a nice change. It adds some variation in changing dynamics, so nicely done. This song again stylistically shares a lot of attributes with like 90s grunge material. However, the first band that I thought of when I heard this song was the Canadian band Pup. And they're certainly grabbing a lot of their inspiration from the same pool, but overall it's not a bad thing. However, let's stop for a moment and take note of the chord progression that's going on in the beginning of this song. We're going from E flat, G, then A flat, and then A flat minor. Or, in terms of Roman numerals, 1, 3, 4, minor 4. This information will matter more later, so just keep it in the back of your mind for now. Beyond that, the song stays pretty solid with a 1, 3, 6, 4 progression, with some utilization of some chromaticism here and there as well. The song overall, I think going into this album, when I heard the title The Jaws of Life, I had a different idea in mind of what the title track was going to sound like. But I think the overall focus of this whole record is establishing a groove with each song, setting a mood, and, going from there rather than trying to have these moments of intensity be the focal point of each song. This song in particular also seems like one of those songs that was written with the mindset of playing it live and having sing-along parts for the audience, which I don't personally agree with as far as like a songwriting approach, but, what do I know? As a guitar player, I personally am enjoying the inclusion of fuzz sounds on the guitars on these Pierce the Veil records. I think the first instance of it that I had noticed was on Collide with the Sky. But yeah, I'm digging it. It's great. Upon first listen to this song, I initially had designated this to be another one with a weak chorus. However, after listening to it a bunch more times since then, I think that the chorus in this case, through its repetition, is establishing a nice platform for the chorus to stand on. But if I'm being honest, it feels like this song wasn't fully hashed out prior to recording it. To me, it sounds like it was constructed with the intention of making it very accessible and easy for audiences at their shows to clap along and sing along with the song. It's simple enough you can bop your head to it, and lyrically it's simple enough that even if you're not a die-hard Pierce the Veil fan, you can sing along and maintain your cred with all the other surrounding people up next to you at the barricade.
Oh, Lois, here comes the best part.
And have a wonderful time.
Like, sure, inclusion's great, but I feel like you need to maintain your creative integrity, and I'm not the biggest fan of the idea of writing any piece of music as sort of like the soundtrack to an exercise class for your audience. Like, oh, well, this part is going to be where we build up to having everyone in the room spread apart and then do a wall of death or something like that. I don't know why I went to the wall of death. They're not doing wall of death at Pierce the Veil shows, right? Probably not. But I think as musicians, we all unconsciously or consciously do consider the audience in our compositions. But like when you're writing songs that a section is literally being designated the sing-along part, I don't know. I kind of get less engaged with that. But that's just me. Initially, when I heard this song, my ear kind of went back to material off a Brand New's record, Science Fiction, just in terms of the simplistic initial presentation going into the beginning of the song. But when I got to the chorus in the song, and the chord progression going on there is going from D minor to G, C, and then F, along with the accompanying melody on top, I found myself distracted by trying to identify where I've heard that melody before. Because between those chord changes and the melody on top of it, it's very reminiscent of something. And it's still bothering me that I can't readily identify what it is. Overall, the ambient instrumentation of this song feels nice at this point in the record. Plus, as a fuzz pedal and like phase and wah pedal gear nerd as far as guitars, they sound great on this track. And after I gave it some thought in regards to the chorus melody and those chord changes and like where I've heard that before, maybe it was something like the song Look What You've Done from the band Jet, or maybe it was like a mix of Yellowcard's Only One or one of the softer songs from Jimmy Eat World. I don't know. If you know, or you have a suggestion, let me know in the comments. I didn't really have anything to say about the interlude on Irrational Fears, because it's not really a song. So, yeah, I'm just going to skip it. Okay? Cool. This track reminded me of songs that I remember hearing growing up from like Owl City or Death Cab for Cutie, or even some of the softer stuff from Deftones, which I'm fine with. Cool with me. But I'm glad that Vic, in this case vocally, took the sort of sparse nature of the song's overall instrumentation as an opportunity to really expand on what he's doing vocally. It's the kind of approach that really shows its success on tracks like Stay Away From My Friends off of Selfish Machines. And I think there's potential for them to do something really interesting with this song if they decide to do it in a live setting. And it could just be the key that the song is in, but it reminds me very much of that one Paramore song, I Hate to See Your Heart Break, or maybe even Such Great Heights from the Postal Service. I don't know. Either way, the song's great. So with this song, when I first heard it, I wasn't like consciously listening to it at the time because I was doing some cleaning and organizing stuff on my desk. But I was listening to the guitar line in the intro and thinking, what's going on? This is weird. I thought maybe it was in some like weird time signature or something, but it's not. I just wasn't paying attention. Dynamically, I appreciate that the band took this sort of different direction with this song to make something that doesn't really sound like your typical Pierce the Veil song, and perhaps a song that could have been written by a band like Muse, with emphasis on the guitars playing octaves in the chorus section of the song. However, the bridge in the song, I had to kind of laugh at it at first, because it's very Imagine Dragons-esque, with the whole down, up sort of approach to vocal unisons with the guitar line that's being played there. Like, I just feel like it's one of those sort of musical tropes that has been overused so much in such a short period of time. Kind of like the Millennial O. All the songs that have a section that are like, and like no lyrical content at all. But whatever, that's just me. Okay, so do you remember that chord progression I had mentioned earlier and told you to keep in the back of your head? The 1, 3, 4 minor 4 chord progression that was in The Jaws of Life? Well, we have not only revisited this chord progression on this song, but considering that it's in the key of G, it sounds very familiar. Like it could have been written by someone else. I don't know, it's just kind of creepy. Like, I remember listening to this song for the first time and hearing the guitar go from G to B and then C, to which my ears perked up because I was like, they wouldn't do it. They're not going to do it. And then they did it. They went to C minor and I was like, but it's fine. Chords are chords. Who cares? And they're certainly not the first artist to use a very familiar chord progression. I already made a video talking about all the songs that use the circle of fifths in terms of their songwriting construction and how it's blatantly the same thing on all these songs. I'll leave a link for that somewhere around here. You can check it out. But yeah, beyond that, the spring reverb that's on the guitar in this track is wonderful. That drip is, it's everything. It's perfect. Love it. And dynamically, this song offers a lot of space to focus in on the lyrical content of the song. And Chloe's vocals complementing Vic's on this track are wonderful. So yeah, overall, I really enjoyed it. Overall, I found myself pleasantly surprised with this record, considering the concern that I had after hearing the third single that was released leading up to the full release of the record. I was definitely worried that I was going to get a record similar to a certain Panic at the Disco record that the internet doesn't want to accept is bad. And like I said before, it seems that this record is more interested in focusing its attention on setting a mood rather than putting all of its focus on putting together brutal riffs and like sick guitar tones. Although the guitar tones are there, don't forget. And it serves as a great platform for the lyrical content, which is focusing mostly on loneliness, self-reflection, anxiety, depression, and so on and so on. I don't give records numerical ratings of any sort because I think that artists should have the ability to move around and do different things outside of my comfort zone as a listener. And honestly, I wouldn't end up being happy if they were to just repackage elements of their old material and put new wrapping paper on it and call it a new album. I wouldn't be happy with that. Muse did that with their last record, and a lot of people weren't happy with that. So I'm glad they didn't take that route this time. With all that said, there's certainly evidence to suggest that maybe they're leaning a little too far into the utilization of the sort of 1960s style doo-wop chord progressions on their own material. But of course, they're not the only artists that do this. You can go and look at artists like Coheed and Cambria, Beach Bunny, My Chemical Romance. They're guilty of doing the same thing as well. I think that if it's done in a manner that is creative enough, it won't feel derivative. So it's just something to consider going into future creative endeavors. But yeah, as a whole, I have to say I really did enjoy this record. I hope you enjoyed it as well. And if you got a vinyl copy of it, make sure that you get a separate sleeve for the actual record, because the one that it came in will ruin your record, and you don't want to do that. So yeah, that's just a little pro tip for you. Okay, so that's all I got for you guys for now. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you found it interesting and informative. And if you haven't done so already, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps the channel and doesn't cost anything. So help me out. And if you'd like to support what I'm doing here further than just liking and subscribing, I'll have a link down below in the description to my Patreon, where you can check out all the perks that are attached to your commitment over there. And with all that said, that's all I have for you guys for today. I'll see you in the next video. Stay safe. Keep playing. Peace.